Welcome to Empowered with Elizabeth Naumovski. Now, we all know that mentorship is extremely important, especially to get you to your next level, personally and professionally. But now, let's actually go to the next level. What if you're a new Canadian and you're here because you've been displaced due to a war in your home country? Today, I'm speaking with Tatyana Sabitova, Director of the National Sales Office and Canada's Best Managed Companies National Coaching Leader at Deloitte Canada. Today's topic, why mentoring is so important to empower female newcomers to Canada and build more equitable workplaces for all. Tatyana, welcome. Thank you so much for being here today.
Hello, Elizabeth.
So, I've known you for a long time. You are full of passion and you are full of love and you're full of fire. Why are you passionate about mentoring these women?
You know, for me, I've traveled my whole life. So I was born in the former Soviet Union, in a pretty tough environment. I grew up in Romania. That's where I graduated. Then I moved to the States. So I moved a lot during my lifetime. I moved to the newly independent Ukraine in 2005 and then moved to Canada. And every single time I had to start over, even though I had this amazing education and I had all the skills and I had built my career before, it always felt like I'm starting from scratch because I didn't have the network, I didn't have the relatives, the friends, and just the knowledge of how the society worked. And so as I built my career, I realized that those few people that were able to take me under their wing and help me along the way really made such a huge difference. And it was very personal. It was literally like, my first mentor at Deloitte, Harley Mintz, when he literally said, Tatyana is great. Meet Tatyana, she's amazing. And I thought to myself, why is he saying that? How does he know that I'm any good? I had the classical imposter syndrome multiplied by, immigrant, newcomer syndrome. He helped me so much by just doing that, by giving me a boost of confidence, taking me by the hand, walking me into a room where decisions were made, and that made a difference for me.
So now I want to digress because you said you had the imposter syndrome and I've suffered from it. And I know there are so many successful women out there.
Yep.
There are a lot of women that are not that successful, that are trying to be that suffer. How do you get over your imposter syndrome? Because I know that I struggle and sometimes, I'll win an award or something good will happen to me. And it's like, why me? How did this happen? Are they sure they have the right person? How do you get over it?
For me, I look at women like you. I look at other women that inspire me. And I think to myself, I like this style of leadership. I like female, motherly, if you want to call it, caring style of leadership. I prefer that. And I think the world could use more of that. So if all of us stay back and always feel that we're not good enough, I went to Ottawa the other day and I met Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, who is the elected president of Belarus. And she suffers from the same syndrome. Yeah. She didn't want to be a leader. She had to step up because her husband was imprisoned. And then a whole bunch of people, millions of people, voted for her. 3 years later, she's standing talking to me and saying, Tatyana, I don't feel confident. I don't belong here. And I said, you do. You do. We belong in these rooms. We should be making the decisions. We should actually take care of the world because we do this at home. Women take care of everybody,
It's true.
So why not us? What kind of leaders do we need up there? Why not us?
Yeah, why not us is great. You know what? That's such a good question. Why not us? So what are the typical problems or challenges that newcomers, like the women of Ukraine, are going through right now?
So when they come to this country, for them, this particular, hundreds of thousands of people that will land in Canada, they come with literally this mindset of, I grabbed my suitcase, I grabbed my kids. I usually also grabbed my elderly parents because the man cannot leave. They're fighting for the freedom of Ukraine. And I'm just hauling it to the first destination that will have me. So their state of mind was not this conscious immigration like mine was, for example. Mm-hmm. I immigrated and I chose Canada. My husband chose Canada. For them, they actually decided this is going to be a safe place for me. So they come here kind of on this flight response, and then they need to make a life. And then they need to stop and figure it out. And they don't have their husbands or fathers with them, which is really hard. So their challenges are childcare, first and foremost. Their challenges are, I don't know how this society works. It's very different. It's kind. They all say Canada is extremely kind. However, I'm sending 1,000 resumes and nothing comes back.
Right.
So that's a challenge.
So we were going to talk more about these challenges with Tatyana Sabitova when we come back, because mentorship is really, really important, whether you are a newcomer or whether you're just trying to get to the next level. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Empowered with Elizabeth Naumovski. We're discussing why mentoring is so important to empower female newcomers to Canada. So, Tatyana, before we went to the break, I was been thinking about different, how to make this more impactful. And, women do face a greater challenge in networking for professional opportunities. So, how is this different for these new female newcomers?
So I think for them, it's different because women, period, face those inequities, right? So when you and I enter the workplace, did we see too many female leaders at the very top? It's interesting that we don't.
Right.
I was looking at some of the research that Deloitte did on female leadership, period, in financial institutions, professional services. And it scared me that in 2021, I think the percentage of female CEOs in financial institution was like minuscule. It was like 5% or 10%. It was definitely nowhere near the goals that all of us have set for ourselves and our organizations. Now, imagine being a newcomer woman, not knowing, again, not having the network, maybe not having the extensive sort of relatives network to lean on to take care of your children, to, kind of help you out when you don't know how to navigate this professional world. They come to Canada and they have to start working right away because there is literally no savings. They weren't planning to immigrate. They don't have any ongoing support, so they need to start making money. They often have a choice between studying English and making money. My own sister has that choice right now.
Mm-hmm.
She's 56 years old. She doesn't speak much English, but she needs to make money. So what is she going to do? She's not going to pursue her career as an economist of 30 plus years. She's just going to start cleaning houses or doing something, very low paying job instead of actually building up your capability to achieve what you want to achieve. And so this added challenge makes mentorship so important. We need to consciously take these women under our care and show them the way. We need to teach them that in Canada, you don't use Facebook to get a job, you use LinkedIn. You need to build your profile. You need to access professional organizations. You can actually do a lot of things for free. You all know, you're in professional services, you are a chartered marketer, you know how much you can get from a professional association, from an organization that actually gathers women and gives you the platform to meet people, from a simple networking event. These women are shy. They come into this country and they already feel that, they need to start from 30 yards behind us. Yeah. And so if we proactively encourage them and invite them to a simple networking event, introduce them, tell them, give them a recommendation on LinkedIn, share a profile with them that could be useful for them. It's a huge help. It is.
It's interesting that you say they come here and they become cleaning ladies. And there's nothing wrong with that profession. Nope. It is an incredible profession. Yeah. When my parents came to Canada, that's what my mother did. But you look at everything that we've gone through during COVID. A lot of women had to homeschool their kids. A lot of women were losing their jobs, whether they were in the service industry, they were masseuses, they were cleaning ladies, because the entire country shut down and they couldn't find care for their children. And, I did a speech at the Empire Club of Canada. And basically, nothing's changed. Mm-hmm. When my mother came here, she had to take me to the homes with her to clean. She didn't have a support group. She had to bring all my food, my diapers, everything. And I said, the only thing that's changed right now is that you have disposable diapers and we have cell phones. Yep. But we still don't have that infrastructure to help us get to that next level. So what exactly do these women need to help get them to that next level?
So they need a lot of support and they need a friendly face to actually tell them, you're amazing, you have great education, and just show them the roadmap to professional success here in Canada. They also need a lot of support from employers. So an employer that would immediately look at the resume and, that first question, do you have any Canadian experience? No, I came from a war-torn country. I do not. But I really need a job and I will work so hard. That determination What I found really works in my network, I have seen, hundreds of Ukrainian women by now. They get a job at Deloitte and they get a job at TD and they get a job at great institutions when you do a personal introduction. Look at this resume. It's a smart woman. She's amazing. She will work really hard. Please interview her. And then they take it from there. And then by now, it has been, unfortunately, so many months of the war, I see a lot of success stories. I see these women that have gotten their first job. They have said, I'll take any job. And then they are being promoted within 3 months.
Amazing.
Because they killed it, because they're great, because they're working really hard.
So that's the key. We need to put a face to the resume. We will be right back with more talk about mentorship and how to help women. Welcome back to Empowered with Elizabeth Naumovski. We're discussing why mentoring is so important to empower female newcomers to Canada. So let's get to it, Tatyana. What are some of the meaty, good questions to ask a mentor?
I like to go for hard questions and stories. So first of all, I would ask your mentor, tell me a story that made an impact. Tell me about a situation where somebody really helped you achieve that next thing in your career, whatever that thing might be. What was it? I also I ask my mentors to actually give me honest feedback. What am I doing right? I remember I was craving this promotion for a very long time, and I had an amazing female mentor, Lori King. She's awesome. She's a legend at Deloitte. And I kept asking her the wrong question. My question to her was, what do I need to do to get there? And I was always doing all of that and so much more. And then finally, I asked her the right question. I said, Lori, who do I need to convince? And that was the right question to ask a mentor. And then she said, yeah, you need to build your network outside of the service line. You need to meet that person. You need to talk to that person. And these are the people that you kind of need to meet, build a relationship with, and that will take you to the next level. So you need to think really hard about the right question to ask, because finding out what the problem is half of solving it.
Okay, so the right question would be, how do I find a proper mentor for myself?
That's a great question. So I would say, first of all, look for people that truly inspire you. Look for them maybe even outside of your industry. Don't get stuck, if you're in financial services or you are in healthcare. I find mentors outside of my industry very useful because they have an interesting perspective. And also, again, kind of look at people that have an opinion. Look at people that speak publicly a lot. People like you, I know that you've mentored a lot of people. And I remember when you were doing it, many, many years ago, I was still not so much taken by the concept, but I was thinking, how cool is it that she finds the time to do that? So sometimes you would meet a person who's truly inspirational and you would think they probably don't have time for me. Again, that imposter syndrome coming in, right? Try it. Why don't you, write a meaningful letter? Every time I get an invite after I do, a class at Deloitte University, I get tons of LinkedIn invites. And some of them are completely impersonal and they don't say anything. And I'm thinking like, who is this person? Why should I accept it? Well, some of them are so meaningful. Somebody wrote to me, listen, I heard you speak about this. That really touched my heart. And I'm struggling with the same problem. You unpacked it so nicely for me. I would love to connect if you could guide me through. Do you have time for, 5-minute cup of coffee? I always respond yes to those. So articulate what is it that you want out of a person and hopefully maybe share a passion. We could share that passion together. It could be a shared value. It could be a shared passion, and people usually respond to that.
You know what? And you're right, Tatyana, because I get approached a lot, as do you. And we always make time for people. And I often say that I would love to help the next person coming up, especially the next generation, because they need to be more successful than you and I.
Exactly.
And they need to, take the country to the next level.
Exactly.
So we need to make time for people that are coming up, people who need help, whether it's 5 minutes, a coffee, a quick email, whatever it is, because I think it's important for the future of the industries and the future of our country as well.
Absolutely.
Now, I want to ask you about reverse mentoring.
Yeah, that's a great thing. So because lately I've been facilitating a lot and teaching a lot, I realized that you get so much out of people that you actually teach, if they're willing to teach you back. And I, by now, am actually asking about it. I always ask my mentees, would you mind reverse mentoring me? Tell me, how do I come across? Did this land? When I was trying to explain this concept, did they use the right vocabulary for your generation? Was it even relevant for you? Because, sometimes I look at my own son who's 10 years old and I look at this younger generation, they're so different.
Yes.
They are so different. And I look at, all the young professionals that are going through, my classes and facilitation, and I look at them and I wonder, what do they truly care about? Do I know? I need their help to teach me. I need to actually, for them to tell me what impacts them. And what I have heard was some amazing things. We now have this new generation that's coming into the workforce that is so purpose-driven. They care about big things. They might not care about the corner office. They might not care about that promotion or that very straightforward upward, climb on this corporate ladder that I certainly did. But they care about big things.
And we'll be right back with more of Tatyana. Welcome back to Empowered with Elizabeth Naumovski. We're discussing why mentorship is so important to empower female newcomers to Canada with Tatyana Sabitova, Director of the National Sales Office and Canada's Best Managed Companies National Coaching Leader at Deloitte Canada. Now, Tatyana, you've been so passionate about this, and one of the major questions I have for you is, what have you learned from these women? What have you learned from these new Canadians that have landed from like a war-torn country and came here with nothing?
It's amazing because they teach me as much as I teach them, if not more. And what I've seen from them is this very special Ukrainian quality. I'm sure those of you that are following what is going on can appreciate this. And it's the stubborn determination. It's quiet and it's very sort of empowering, the way they just plow through and they don't give up. No. They don't give up. I've met a wonderful new friend. Her name is Oksana. And, every time I ask her, how are you doing with all the challenges? She's so self-conscious about her English, about, getting this job. And then she got the job. And then she's thinking, oh my God, will I pass the 3 months, trial period? They might fire me. Again, that imposter syndrome coming in. And then I ask her, so how are you? And she goes, "Прорвемся," which means we'll plow through. Quietly, we will just plow through. Just don't mess with us. We're on the course. I see the goal. Yes, it's going to be difficult. They all clearly understand none of this will be easy. They have very realistic expectations of what it takes. And they're absolutely fully determined to put in the work. And that impresses me. And they all say, yes, I could be 40 years old. I could be 50 years old. I have to start from scratch, brand new country, never planned for it, have 2 kids that depend on me, have elderly parents, yet I'm going to plow through. I will do it. Get out of my way, pretty much. Or help me.
It's actually interesting that you just said that, because during COVID lockdowns, my husband went to go grocery shopping for my parents. And my mother would give my husband the list, the shopping list, and he would show up and she would say, what's this? Because it was like half the list.
Yeah.
And he said, Mary, take a look. The shelves are empty. And he took pictures. And she said, I understand that. Growing up in Serbia, we had more days than sausages.
Exactly.
And that is such a powerful saying, right?
Exactly.
We had more days than sausages. Okay, I get it. There's a struggle. There's a determination, right?
Yes.
And so these women are going through that.
Exactly.
But
they have this amazing outlook on the end goal. They have it clear in their sight, and they understand that there might be obstacles. It is not going to be easy. Yet they are extremely determined. And that inspires me.
I love it. That's amazing. Now, what are some of the key takeaways for our audience who are keen to explore the topic of mentorship? I mean, after they've heard you speak and after they've heard all the hardships, what can you tell our audience?
So, it's interesting. Canadians are extremely generous, I find. It's such a kind nation. We give a lot. There's this definite culture of charity and giving. Think about giving your intellectual property, as in your brains, your connections. If you are in a position to help out, sometimes think about mentoring as a way of giving back, because it's a wonderful, wonderful thing to do for a human being. If you're looking for mentoring opportunities, you can always find them. They could be within your network. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. Again, if you explain that you're willing to be a mentor, I will be happy to connect you with a potential mentee, by all means. But again, think about mentoring as that ultimate way of actually giving back. It's a wonderful way of giving back. And if you are a newcomer to Canada, or a young woman, or a woman just looking for a mentor, again, think about finding somebody inspiring and then articulating your ask. Share a little bit about yourself. Give a little and you will receive.
So quickly, we've got less than 30 seconds. How does mentoring help more equitable workplaces?
Women need other women to help them get into leadership roles. It's not going to happen otherwise. It just won't. It's going, otherwise we will always have this huge divide. And so we need to see women in leadership roles to understand that we can do it and we belong. We belong there. We belong at the table.
Thank you so much, Tatyana.
Thank you.
As Tatyana discussed, women do face a greater challenge in networking for professional opportunities. Mentorships are important in our advancement, but mentorships go both ways. If you find a mentor that you can't relate to, or if they can't relate to you, speak up and find a new one. It is a relationship. Just like any other relationship, it needs to be positive and helpful. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski, and I'm trying to empower you and make frugality fashionable. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.